Hi, this video is just going to walk you through this first essay. We're going to take a look at it and I'm going to point out all the important parts that I want you to pay attention to. Okay, so first thing that I want to look at is the MLA format on the first page. So what you see here is this is supposed to be the student's first and last name. And so that's the thing that is right on the top. And then the last name is also here under the header. And I'll show you, here is the Word document. So when we're in this area, no, we're not going to do that. So if you know how to put your last name and page number on the top, you can go ahead and do that, but it's not necessary for my class. I don't care about that, so you can go ahead and skip that if you want. And then the rest of the information, this is correct MLA format, so name, class, my name, and then the date, and the date is written in European style. So it should be the day and then the year and then, or sorry, the day and then the month and then the year with no commas. The important thing to notice here is that everything is double spaced, and that includes all the way up into the title and the first line. So there's no extra spaces. Everything is just exactly double spaced. And then the other thing is that the title shouldn't have any kind of weird font. It shouldn't be italics or quotation marks. It should just be regular font, no extra spaces in between, and the important words are capitalized. So that means these big words here, it's always going to be the first word, whatever that is, and the last word, whatever that is, and then the bigger words in the middle, and these kind of smaller words that don't really have too much meaning, those are not going to be capitalized. And then one more thing about MLA format on this front page, that is that we've got indentations here. So you just hit the tab key to come over. Okay, so taking a look at what the student is saying, they start off with a really general statement about education in the United States. Then he gets a little more detailed, a little more specific, talking about the 14th Amendment. Then we're talking about the 14th Amendment and the article, and here's where the quote comes in. So one thing to notice is that this name of this article is in quotation marks. And so that's what we need to do whenever we have an article. So the rule is when you have a large or full source, so like the name of a book or the name of a magazine, like Time Magazine or People Magazine, or the name of a newspaper, or even the name of a website, those should be in italics. But when you have one article or one chapter or one part of that whole, that is going to be in quotation marks. So anytime we refer to either of the articles, you're going to put quotation marks around them. Okay, and so he's got his quotation here, and it's within a citation sandwich. So he has according to, and then he puts the information, the name of the article, and also the author's name. And so when he writes the author's name here, what that does is down in the parentheses at the end, that means that he doesn't put the author's name. So he's just going to put the page number. And then we've got the quotation here. And then another really important thing to notice is that the parentheses is inside the sentence. So we don't want to put the information in the parentheses kind of out in the middle of nowhere. We wouldn't put the period here or even here, we're going to put it on the outside. And what that does is that shows us what this means. So this is part of this sentence, and that's what we want. Okay, then he's got his bottom bun here, and he's doing it a little different than what I showed you. So you could say, you know, this means, or this shows, or this proves, or another way to do it is in other words. And it's the same thing. You're just putting one sentence that is your sentence that you wrote that explains what the quote is, why you have the quote, and especially, you know, what's the important part about it. When we get down to the body, then this bottom bun sentence can also act to tie your quotations to the topic of the paragraph or the thesis of the entire essay. So we'll look at that in just a minute. So then he's got some more information, background information. We're getting more and more specific here about the case. And then he's finally got his thesis statement. And you can see that his thesis statement is the beginning of what I gave you. I believe that so you can see that his thesis statement is basically what I gave you, but he really filled it out and put some personal information and then some details in it. So I believe that immigrants like my family and I deserve the same right to education as natural-born citizens, because education of immigrant children will evolve them into valuable assets to the American society, as well as prevent large social costs in the future. So when I read this great thesis statement, I understand a few things. I understand exactly what his opinion is, why he has his opinion, and then I even get some hints as to what his arguments are going to be as we go forward in the essay. So what I'm expecting is, he's got two reasons here. This is the first one: education of immigrant children will evolve them into valuable assets in American society. And so I'm going to expect that the first body paragraph is about that, and then prevent large social costs in the future. I'm going to expect that his second body paragraph is going to be about that. So it kind of is like a roadmap. It lays out what the rest of the essay is going to look like. Now, again, this because clause is really optional for you, but it does make your thesis statement very strong, very specific, and like I said, it gives your reader a really good idea of what information we need, okay? The other thing that I want to point out is the way that he talks about the articles, and especially about the information in the articles. What you really have to do, especially at the very beginning when you're giving this background information, is you really have to write this to someone. You have to imagine that you're writing it to someone who has not read the essays, who has not read the articles, that they're not familiar with the Education of Fundamental Right, or Education and the 14th Amendment, those two articles that we've read, that they don't know anything about the court cases. So you really have to imagine that you're talking to someone who has no idea about that. So it wouldn't be a good idea to, you know, just say, according to the article that we read, or according to that article, or you know, mention the court case without actually saying what the court case is. That would be really confusing for your reader, and you want to give them that information. The introduction is definitely the place to give them that information. Just introduce it, and then the result of that is that when you get down to the body paragraphs, then we understand what you're talking about. So we know exactly what you mean, and it becomes really clear, and that's perfect.